acknowledge my rightness, and now I have corrected them on the proper path.
Yeah. Good American is what.
Oh my gosh! Good evening, von Falkenstein and Bergman. Today we're discussing Star Trek III: The Wrath of Spock.
The Wrath of Spock.
I'd watch that.
All I can think of is just Zachary Quinto in Star Trek 2009 go. Rah!
Oh yeah, and he's just beating the crap out of him.
Out of Kirk, yeah.
Actually, funnily enough, I would watch
that.
Well, I would watch that too. But you ever watch Farscape?
I am currently in. I actually am doing. If I can self-promote, I actually have a Farscape Rewatch podcast. I'm actually in beginnings of season 2 of Farscape.
Nice. The reason I bring it up is because I have heard more than once it described that Scorpius is Spock without morality.
Oh, I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Just met him, but only having just met him. It's Spock without morality and a leather fetish.
There's some other niggles there, but the point is getting across that genius, that drive, the meticulous, the super precise. I know exactly how to get from point A to point B.
Yeah,
and just that absolute ambitious. I'm going to make this happen kind of a thing. Except he's Scorpius.
Yep. No, I can 100% see that actually.
And I am live now too. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Trek Rewrite, as we were saying. Though, unfortunately, it is going to have to be one of the last. Just found out some information. Unfortunately, I as you guys know, being a YouTuber is really important, and as is the image. And I found on a political website that unfortunately, Lore Runner is center. And that's the only thing I have a problem with in that. Everything
Center
else
and
is stuff.
Anti-SJW.
No, that's God's work right there. That's okay.
I have no idea where that comes from.
That's
Considering
okay.
that you're literally hosting an SJW on your, on your channel right now.
Where do they even get that?
It's the tax credit. That's why we're doing it.
There it is.
So yeah, unfortunately, I can't be around people who are in the center. You got to be partisan one way or the other.
That's right. You got to pick a side, pick a team.
For those who don't know, it's a funny thing. Then we can get started. There's a website that rates YouTubers based on their politics, and both Jesse and Lore Runner are in it. Lore Runner is center, anti-SJW, as we said, and Jesse is obviously partisan left, social justice. I'm not even on it. And I think it's funny because Lore Runner has this entire thing about how he won't talk about sensitive subjects or anything. And I literally have a comparison between two black chicks not 5 videos ago. So I think it's one of the best things that has ever happened, honestly. But
I take offense to the fact that they have a socialist label and I didn't get it. That's my big offense.
I figured they didn't because they didn't have the label. Like it wasn't even an option.
I did a literal whole video about how Star Wars is like being ruined by the capitalism of Disney, and like called for had a whole Marxist section in the video. Like what?
No, you don't qualify. Sorry.
Doesn't work.
Alas.
So we getting into this. We're doing the rewrites for the search for Spock. Before we get into that, we did have a request for those who are watching. We'll remind you throughout the episode, but we're looking for suggestions on the next movie, 5. We're looking for the theme. Is that right?
Next movie. So I'll explain very briefly here. I've been staring at 5 for a long time, and 1 through 4 and 6, as we've designed them, are effectively one single string of continuity and relevance and consequence. 5 is just this gap. Always has been. That's true in real life too. And the more I've stared at it, the more I've been thinking about how to rewrite and how to set up 4 and then pay off with 5. And I think we're just going to take 5 and throw it out the window. And just completely start over with something new. And the way I like to write things like that is I like to walk into it thinking of either a theme or a concept. The theme is easier, but like something that serves as a central pillar, and then we can write around that and build up the actual story. So if anybody has any suggestions for like such a central theme or a pillar for 5, please feel free to share. It can't be generational stuff, new or versus the old, because we're doing that. And obviously can't be the no-win scenario, because we already did that. and it can't be whatever one's theme is. What would you say our one's theme is? I was going to say love, personally.
It could be love. It also could be like a creation versus creator. At least in our version. I mean, if you're talking about the original version.
No, our version.
Yeah, our version. You could talk about creation versus creator, love as well, love versus duty. A little bit in there too.
Connection,
yeah. I like that. Because there was a lot of connections between people throughout one as we restructured it.
So
even the guys who weren't even characters originally.
So, and speaking of this, just so you guys know, if we do something to a character or something happens, generally they will be connected or they will come up again, especially if it's like a main character. So just because someone seems to be gone doesn't mean they may or may not be gone. So you have to wait.
So anyways, the movie starts.
No one's ever really gone. If they're in our hearts.
Oh my God, no. God, that's just... Yeah.
or like Palpatine, no one's ever really gone.
Oh my God.
Because J.J. Abrams will bring him back.
I didn't even hate that movie, and that still pissed me off.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I don't hate it. I actually enjoy Rise of Skywalker the same way I enjoy Star Trek V as like a get drunk and enjoy it movie. But
yeah, I could agree with that. But anyways, Reloaded. Do you want to take the intro? Because the very, very, very first scene.
Yeah. So the conversation. Or it's the starting of the movie is the conversation we're having. We are changing quite a bit, but honestly, even though we're changing quite a bit, a lot of it's details. We're keeping some of it. The movie actually starts off with something approaching the Genesis planet. And basically what you would see is a shadow of a ship coming over the trees and the plant lives and stuff. And you would hear real softly the one word, Spock. And it would actually be Uhura's voice. And then after that, it's a I think it'd be a little bit of a build-up. You'd see Genesis itself. You'd see the forest and everything, kind of like what you see beforehand. Then you see the shadow of the ship, and then you hear that word. And then there's a hard cut. And I'm going to let you take that since that's been your idea since day one on what is going on there. Runner.
Okay, so they cut over to the Enterprise, and there's this hot sex party going on, right? just all over.
Hot space.
That's for you.
Marcus is bouncing.
All my characters in our
and yeah, you're just all of you are there. All of your characters are just there at the same time somehow. They all got a hold of a time. No.
Now both Spock and Kirk can be called Daddy by Marcus.
Oh my God. I should never do it. No. The idea is the Enterprise is smashed. It is so damaged. It is so wrecked that by the time they get to space dock, there's possibility that it might not even be able to dock properly. It is in so many pieces, and they just barely have warp drive. They were actually being escorted back by I forget the name of it, that is the ship Sulu was on. Several things happen in very quick succession. Chekhov is still mentally brain damaged. In fact, the first thing that happens when they get back is the entire crew, plus Sulu, takes Chekhov to medical to get him on life support because they're not sure if he's going to live because he's facing brain death because of what Khan did to him. As a consequence of this, he's there. They put him on life support. I'm not sure when exactly the scene should happen, but at some point or another, probably after a scene, if I was to guess, someone's going to come in and offer him some very advanced Starfleet tech, but there is a catch because he has to be quiet about it because it's not available for public consumption. And Chekhov says, what's the catch? And he says, well, you have to join the section. Which section is that? Section 31. Meanwhile,
and then they hand him a black badge and say, "Tell everybody about it."
And tell everybody because we have no writing brain. No,
we're super secret, but you'll have to wear nothing but black and have these specialized comm badges. No one's ever gonna know.
No one will ever notice a Federation officer wearing all black with a black comm badge.
And the way we're gonna hide you is give you special tech that makes you look like a trill. So you just have spots down your down the side of your face, and then nothing else. And we're going to put you on the Klingon homeworld. That actually happened. There was a Section 31
kidding.
agent. No, that actually happened. There was a Section 31 agent, and
It's a deleted scene that like you can kind of take as canon because everything that happens in it is
it was deleted. That's
later.
right.
But it was technically deleted, so probably.
But so he's sitting there and he has things as a trill, and he comes over and talks, and he turns off whatever the hollow whatever he had right there, and he's like, "I'm with Section 31," and it's just like. Now that I don't have my spots, you'll never know who I was.
God.
Oh no.
Anyways,
I was totally thrown by the. Sorry.
So Chekhov gets recruited in exchange for saving his life. The next thing that happens is they try to figure out what the heck they're going to do about the Enterprise. Scotty is running through, doing everything he can. It's not really working. And at one point, the line will be said something along the lines of, we could literally build another ship or two with the time and materials that we are using or we're going to use to repair this one. It is gutted. We need to shut it down. And what they want to, the Admiral comes in, what he wants to do is he wants to turn it into another museum ship. And I do say another museum ship because they will reference the NX-01 at this point, which is already a museum ship. And
continuity.
Yeah, continuity. There will be other museum ships in the future too, FYI. Either way, another thing that happens is, it's some general moving around. Most of the same type of stuff happens. But here's the big one. Turns out there is this guy named Krug. Now, Krug is from the House Gahor. Actually, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but whatever. It is spelled G''Hor, so whatever. And he is a staunch opponent of the current Chancellor of the Klingon Empire. That would be Chancellor Gorkon.
Not to interrupt you, just out of curiosity, and if we don't want to, because it would be cliche, but would we want to make him House Duras? They keep. I
thought about that. The reason I went with Gahor instead is two things. First of all, we already have a little bit too much House Duras.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say there's a lot.
And that is my main reasoning. I'll be honest. Second of all, House Gahor is the same function. Do you remember House Gahor?
No,
House of Quark is the episode.
Oh, yeah.
The guy who was stealing from Grilka's house and being a slimy little undercurrent bastard. That guy. That's Gahor. That's why I went with that one. It's the same general idea, but a little less known, and it makes it so we don't always lean on Duras.
Okay, I was just curious. It was a thought.
It's a good thought. It's just I did already think about that.
It's always the small world syndrome that always.
Yeah, I do try to push. I'm super high on continuity, but it's always that to go between continuity and everything is connected because it's too easy to do that. Anyways, so we don't want to have a Star Wars problem. I'm not getting into it. The Krug of House Gahor is someone who is a very staunch opponent and is very well connected. But he only has a relatively small group of people who are specifically loyal to him. He has received intelligible, actionable information that there's this new Federation superweapon called Genesis. Now, Reloaded, do you think I should tell them everything or just what's going to be shown on screen?
When it comes, what can you give me a hint without letting them know when it comes to...
I mean, because the point is the undercurrent plot is not revealed in the movie, if you remember.
Well, then it's not revealed to them, buddy.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
That's not revealed to them.
Anyway, so
it with Babylon 5 in it. They'll figure it out.
That's true. We are super Babylon 5.
All the sex parties going on.
No.
Not.
I mean, we are very Roddenberry vision here.
I'm just saying.
That's the undercurrent going on.
Marcus will have more than 2 daddies. That's all I'm saying. Continue on.
So he has this intel, and he decides to take him and his most loyal people on their 2 ships, and they head out. And if they find this information, I'm not sure if we should keep the him killing his agent scene in. I'm fine with it. It lines up perfectly with everything.
Are you talking about when the
what's her face? I don't remember her name. When she's on the smuggler ship.
Oh, that.
The idea would be that I never
understood. That seemed like shorthand just to make them evil and a really 60s trope.
That's why I'm like,
yeah.
The only reason it would work is if she is, and therefore that would be deliberately pushing the information to him.
In the original movie, why didn't he just beam her over?
I don't know.
Because it made no sense.
You have seen the information? Very well then.
And no one else.
I'm trying to pull up this scene to see.
No one else on the ship has any idea what's going on.
The next scene with Krug has him watching the exact same data, with his chief of staff and like his helmsman.
And he tells,
I have the movie up right here.
And he tells the helmsman, he's like, just go back to your seat. And doesn't, and then tells the chief of staff, don't tell anybody. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Anyway, yeah, I wouldn't.
So I'm fine with ejecting that one. To be completely honest, it really doesn't serve a lot.
Because they get it. We already know how they're getting it. I don't know if we said that or if we're going to tell them. I guess we have to tell them.
We'll imply a few times, but I'm not sure if we'll bring it up overtly. And I was thinking we could tie that into 5, actually.
Okay. Well, it's been redundant, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
it's just
it is super redundant. I agree. So let's just eject it.
So
I agree with Pure White Noise too.
They already have the information, and that's a part of the mystery. It's like, so it might, some YouTuber that makes a living off of it might pull it up and be like, "Look at this plot hole.
This is just a huge plot hole. How do they just suddenly have the information on Genesis?"
No. I hate Berman
I'm scrubbing through this movie right now. I forgot how much of a douche the Oberth captain looks like.
Oh God, I know, and he's such a weenie in the actual movie.
He really is. Befits an Oberth, a captain that befits an Oberth.
I hate Runner Trek. That's what people say.
So
no, that's what people will say. Because how can they leave a plot hole? I hate Runner Trek.
Next major scene, then, if we're ejecting that, would be probably the interaction. This would be right before the escape sequence, the beginning of Act 2. So this would be him confronting the Oberth, the Grissom.
Right. So the thing to remember, you didn't mention beforehand, and I just want to make sure that you have both Spock or you have. Well, who's going to go down on the ship? We have to have someone. No one's going down on the ship. That's right. Mm-hmm. Especially if Marcus, because Marcus is somewhere else.
So we need to decide the Marcus thing. Let's decide that now, because there is like a couple of weeks there. There is time for him to get to the Grissom and get to Genesis. It does make sense.
Yeah.
And since it's his baby, it makes sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, it also just gives us, if we're not having Savik on it, it just gives us a character that we care about on the ship.
Well, what I'm thinking is we have Marcus on the Enterprise, helps him escape or whatever. Marcus and Kirk are bonding, which I think would help more. And so Marcus just isn't off somewhere else. He's actually been staying with Kirk because he's now connecting with his father. Spock is just by himself on the planet, which we'll get into that in a second. But then we don't have to worry about the shuttle or anything like that.
What playlist am I on? Oh, sorry. So for those of you wondering why Kingdom Hearts music is playing, it's I'm on the peaceful playlist. There we go.
So anyway,
so hang on. So if we're leaving Marcus on the Enterprise, which actually I prefer, I agree with you. I think he should have more moments with Kirk. I think Marcus joining Kirk to save Spock is a great idea and will help connect the two and yada yada yada. I want someone to be on the planet. Well, they don't have to be a main character. They could be a guest star for this thing. They could even live through the course of the movie. They could even come back and forth if we wanted them to. But I like the idea of someone being on Genesis.
Spock's brother, who senses him. He senses that
his name is Michael.
He senses. No, his sister. Yeah, his sister.
I'm sorry, you missed this. I made a joke. We were talking about how we should make Star Trek 5 about Spock's brother, and I said Michael.
Yeah. But that's what we do. His brother senses his Katra is not yet dead, and thus goes on the Grissom.
I can't tell if you're memeing or not.
And I don't know either. Sometimes, I mean, if it's not going to be any major character, because there's no major characters on the Grissom, you just have a regular red shirt.
Well, see, here's the thing. Let's step a few steps back. We have an option to either have a guest star who will show up for this movie, which is fine. Trek has done that many, many times. Or we could have a guest star who will be relevant in the future. That'll open the possibility for 3 upcoming movies where they might be also in the films.
I mean, if we're talking pure, if we're just talking this as purely a writing exercise, I would say we should try and find someone that exists. But if we're also trying to think about production and when these came out and everything, it'd probably be better to have a guest star, because then you can build a movie as big star in Star Trek, and then.
Well, I mean, who could we bring that's already been in it either in the past or will be in the future?
What's her name?
Let's just use a character that's going to either have been in the series, the original series, or will be in the future movies.
Oh,
it's
you could
the woman.
Uhura?
No. Pulaski was played by.
I know you're talking
A
about.
bad actress?
What?
Actually, I
Okay.
disagree.
Oh, no,
I very disagree with
The
that. I'm
actress,
sorry.
the actress who plays Pulaski is the only thing that saves that character.
Yeah, she's
especially-
also pretty good in TOS,
Oh, wow.
which was my
I didn't
point.
know that triggered you
She's in
guys so
TOS?
much.
Diana
What do you say?
Moldauer. She's in 2 episodes as 2 separate characters in TOS.
I
Well,
did
does
not
she,
know this.
Does she play a Starfleet officer in any of them that's not a racist and bigot? Or
Yes, actually.
oh, okay.
She's kind of awesome in TOS. I was surprised, to be honest with you, in
She's
both
in Batman the
times.
animated series. What?
But yeah, I was thinking we could bring her back as one of the members of the Genesis crew,
Who is
or the Grissom crew, I should say.
though?
if we want to
Okay.
bring someone back.
I mean, I'm all down for bringing Diana
what
Muldaur
was she?
back because she's great. But
What I mean, you know, we all have our dirty secrets of things that aren't true that we just keep to ourselves.
I'm in the middle of rewatch.
I like Pulaski, by the way. I have no problem admitting
Oh,
that.
I can't stand
Hang on,
Pulaski.
hang on, hear me out.
I like
The
her better
actress-
than Crusher, to be honest.
The actress is fine, but Pulaski is one of the worst. I got to be honest. Having a racist on is brave in the Next Generation. I'll give you that. It's brave, but anyway,
yeah.
it is. Continue.
Or I'll let
on.
you
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say I didn't like her until I rewatched TNG for Illuminations. Up until that moment, I didn't like her. And when I rewatched them, I realized that all of my dislike was concentrated into one episode. She's fine after that.
So, yeah.
That one episode was awful, though. I
Guys-
will absolutely get
guys,
into that.
Which one?
The Child.
Guys,
Oh,
Introduction episode for her,
Guys,
which is a bad episode
hey,
to begin with.
as long as you're a racist only once and you never apologize for it, it's okay. That's what.
I'm
we
just
want
saying
you
The
to know.
Child is
Just
garbage,
saying.
and I'm not holding that against
From
the
Jesse
character.
Gender,
Apologies.
Lore Reloaded.
If I was going to
Runner.
hold that against the character, I would have to hold a lot more.
I was going to say, there's a lot of
characters.
shit going on and a lot of stuff.
Untrue. Untrue. I have been told by Phantom Menace that the Next Generation is perfect. No
Wow,
problems.
that's impressive.
Is what I have said.
Hey, let's go down to this sex planet. It's okay. As chief of security, I've cleared it.
After
There's
the-
nothing we need to know
After
about
the
this.
sex planet, can we go to the racist planet?
Yes,
That
let's
one's-
do it.
I am
that's
down for the
that's
racist
how
planet.
that's how we
The
solve
racist
all of
planet
it.
that Picard literally my black friends at one point.
We take my black friends.
What?
My black friends. That's horrible.
It is, but it's
My
true.
black friends. Okay. All right. No. What we do.
Jesus.
What we
I'm going
do?
to hell.
No, we just take the racists and we put them on the sex planet. It's how you fix it. That's how you fix it.
It's just they
mean-
get over it quickly.
Oh.
He just beams down.
Oh,
He's
God.
like, my black friends. Let me show you something. Come, my
sorry.
black friends.
Considering that Code of Honor was literally all about, like, whoa, we're black people
Jesse,
who want the
Jesse.
white woman.
Oh God. What?
Your mic is pulling from your headphone
Yeah, something just happened.
because when you did that, when you covered it,
Oh, I couldn't
you
understand.
you went you got muffled.
Oh.
Hello? Is
Yeah.
that-
Ow,
Yeah,
that's
that's
not-
you.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's why as soon as you did that, I'm like, whoa.
Oh, when I review that,
God.
when I
Damn.
review it.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Yes, that is.
God damn it! That always happens. I keep pulling from the wrong damn mic. I need to check that before we go live next time. This is probably sounds.
Oh, it
instantly
sounds better, too.
It sounds it sounds a lot.
Well, because now it's using the $50 mic and not the
And
shitty.
yeah.
Yeah.
That explains. I figured you were just still doing your setup. Have you moved? By the way? Have you
Yeah,
successfully?
this is new. This is a whole new
I
apartment.
was gonna say
and
it looks like
everything.
a different room. I don't want to presume. I hate to sound stupid.
Come,
No,
my black
yeah.
friends. Let me show you.
No, thanks for catching that. But yeah, no, I'm in Seattle now. This is all. Yeah, that's why I wasn't here last week because I was literally in a
rain?
U-Haul. Yeah. Huh?
How's the rain?
Oh, I love it. It was. I had a thunderstorm a couple mornings.
Oh, I am
So
envious.
stupid.
We don't get good storms down here in Texas. We get crap.
I can't stop laughing.
Which,
But it's what happens. There's literally a scene where Picard's like, "Look, my black," like it's what happens. I swear to God, it's fucking awful.
I
but-
could never say that on my channel. I would get
I mean, I'm
eviscerated.
saying it on your. Why do you think I'm saying it on yours and not mine?
Exactly. I'm gonna earn being banned, man. Oh my god.
Look, I'm not saying it's a good or right. I'm just saying that's.
I'm doing a review in 2 days. I'm doing a review of that video, and That title, My Black Friends, it's exactly what I'm going to use. All right. Anyway.
I need to find Reloaded's reset switch. I
think I broke him.
It's so horrible. It's written so badly. It fits.
At this point, I'm laughing more at
I
your
can't think about it. I'll start laughing again because it's so. Anyway.
Anyways, back to Search for
I'm
Spock.
going to be sleeping and laughing about that. It's just going to come up anyway. Oh, that's good stuff. All right.
I am sorry. I apologize to everybody for this. I apologize to both of your audiences.
They should have had Pulaski with them.
Distinctly your audiences and not mine.
It's like Pulaski, why don't you come down? You're going to relate. These are my black friends. So stupid. All right. I don't even know where we are in the movie anymore.
I do, because I was trying to bring up the topic, and I'm not actually sure how we got from point A to point B. I'm really not.
Diana Muldaur, we want to have Diana Muldaur upon
Yeah, we're talking about Diana Muldaur, and then just and then someone downshifted on the highway.
I was trying to look up who Diana Muldaur played in the original series, but I can't find it on her IMDb.
And Mulhall, which was the character who ended up giving her body to the ancients who were super advanced, and she also plays the blind telepath. She was actually supposed to. That was literally a last minute. Oh God, the actress canceled. She was on the studio. Please come and do this.
So it would have to be her Return to Tomorrow character then.
Yes, it could not be the blind telepath who ends up going off and leaving the Federation.
She does. Well, if you're gonna let me be all my beta canon nerdy about it, there is a novel where she does come back, so we could make it work. But
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah,
where racism-induced hysteria is what people are calling. Okay.
Hang on.
Let's not talk about it. I will go back.
It was just an idea. But if I'm being 100% honest, what I would probably do is if this was just me, because I'm doing this with holodeck mentality, and I don't have to consider this is 1981 or whatever this is, and I'm not considering that. I'm considering with modern tech and modern abilities and modern capacity.
Search for Spock was 83, wasn't it?
I have no idea. That's why I'm stalling on that one. You're right, because Wrath was 82. Now that I think about it. So
were they back to back?
And I've seen Voyage Home in theaters.
It's
I was quite
84.
young,
Yeah, it was 84.
They were back to back. I didn't realize they were back to back movies like that.
Oh yeah, they were cranking them for a bit there. Early 80s was an interesting.
What was oh man, I almost lost me again. What was her character? What department was her character in?
That I'll have to look up.
She was a red shirt, so and I'm doubting because she's a woman, so she wouldn't have been security. So she was engineering probably.
I think you're right.
Did they not have
Scotty?
I have a picture. I have a picture of her in a red shirt, so she's definitely not security because women were not security in the original series.
Oh, were they not?
She was an astrobiologist. There it is.
I hate that.
So she's science
in a red shirt. For some reason.
They were consistent, canon. Canon's
super
ever important.
I love you, Jesse. You're so awesome. You're such an awesome person. I love everything about you. I mean, honest to God. If I could just fund just to have you exist on YouTube, I would do it if I could pay for that. Well, all right.
Save this, and then when I run, this is gonna be the thing when I run for office. It's gonna be my Justin Trudeau moment. Yeah.
I knew her. Oh man, runner's done. He wants to just.
I'm sorry. I am sorry. I know you're trying to be. Trying to be we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about writing. Very professional. We're gonna talk about arcs, and then I just.
Miss Gender,
kill everything.
We know you want to run for president, but did you in fact say that Picard would beam down and say, "Hello, my black friends"? I'm waiting on you, Runner. Why are you getting upset, man? Come on, let's go.
I'm not upset. I'm just waiting.
I'm with you. I'm just.
Okay, come on, let's go.
I'm sorry. All right. Diana Muldaur, she's gonna be on the over.
Okay, I'll just say
this. At this point, I'm willing to give up and just make it Ann Mulhall.
It's funny,
even though that wasn't the idea I wanted.
It's funny
What was the idea? I want to get back.
Let me say this. It's just funny because it's Picard. That is the last person that I would ever expect in TNG to say that. That's one of the reasons it's funny. Anyway, continue on.
Is it better if it's Riker?
Yeah, it would make more sense.
I can see Riker more than Picard.
If someone's to beam down and yell "My black friends" and raise their
It would
hands,
be best with Geordi, though. I think
He
we could all
almost
agree with
does it
that.
in lower decks. Jesus.
Nobody heard my joke. That's good. That's good.
No, you said it'd work with Geordi. I agree.
Yep. There we go.
Oh.
Is that what you said, or did I miss it?
No, that's what I said. That's what I said. What I would do, what I would want to do, and I'm willing to be talked down on this, is I would want new characters. I would want to invent new characters rather than bringing someone back from TOS. We could even bring back like one person from TOS and like two people that we invent, something like that, vary it up a little bit.
Well, that was going back to what I was saying. Is if we create a new character, and then if we want, we could either bill it as like here's this, and like put like a decently well known actor in the role, of the time of like in the 80s, and say, hey, look, this actor is going to be in the new Star Trek movie, help sell the movie, and then we could also have the character continue on into 4 and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, yeah, no, I like that. I will admit, and literally no one is going to agree with me on this, but I wouldn't mind Alexander coming back. I don't think this is the right time for that, but I wouldn't mind Alexander coming back at some point.
Alexander.
He is the non-superpowered one in Plato's Stepchildren.
Oh yeah.
And having recently gone through TOS, I forgot how awesome he was. Like it's all down to the actor. The actor. I'm looking up his name because I can't remember.
I haven't seen Plato's Stepchildren in a while, just because I'm not the biggest fan of that episode.
Well, I mean, it's weird. I didn't think I was going to be either. And then it's Michael Dunn. That's his name. Michael Dunn just nailed it. The whole episode is held up by him. It's hysterical because the whole rest of the episode, the main, touch and approach of, hey, it's yet another. I think it was up to our 7th super psychically powered people who are forcing their will on other people because that's just a thing in TOS for some reason. But no, he was awesome, and I wouldn't mind him coming back. I don't think this is a good fit for that, admittedly. Yeah. We could bring back Rand. We could bring back.
We could. I think we need more. I mean, especially original series just needs more female characters.
Why weren't we? Oh, you know who could be? No, it couldn't. Never mind. Why did we go against Pulaski's actress, whoever she was before? Why are we not using her again?
We can. There's nothing really wrong with it.
I think
the problem
that's fine.
is it would have to be either the blind woman, which is actually a more interesting character, but she does kind of leave Federation, so we'd have to explain why she's back, which we can do, but that adds some baggage to that, right? Mm-hmm. Or we could go with Miss Mulhall, which is her Federation-specific character, who is barely a character, and that's the problem with her, Anne Mulhall, because Anne Mulhall is a astrobiologist who then gets possessed by the other. Effectively, Diana Muldaur is playing the alien in that episode.
Well, a part of this is taking little-known characters and bringing them to life, right? We did that with Zahn or whatever.
That's true.
So we could do that with her? We could maybe she decided to find interest in this, or it somehow Genesis ties to astrophysics. I'm not sure that could, but let's say it did.
Astrobiologist.
Yeah, astrobiologist. There you go.
Which
and
does
so,
that would make that would make sense, because I was like trying to think of like the problems with like other people, but
and
that would
it honestly makes sense, because usually Star Trek is all about sending the A team and people who are more managers, but for some reason get to go down and not specialists, and so they actually send a specialist down to investigate what's going on. We could have her and then some random red shirt that's female, by the way. That's happening in ours. Screw toss. Female security for the win. And then they find Spock.
Hey, Discovery does it. So,
yeah.
Hang on. This is a long-term question, but do we want to make the Makos a long-term thing?
I like the concept of the Makos a lot, but I'm not sure they make sense post Federation, if that makes sense.
Here's my thought. What I would probably do is I would have the Makos exist up to probably Star Trek 6, actually, roughly. And then the Golden Era begins, the Super Era of Peace, the Winds of Change time, etc. The Makos are kind of retired and subsumed back into normal Starfleet. I
mean, honestly, we could those like football helmet wearing people in the motion picture, just make those like Makos, have them like be background elements and stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of like they were in later Enterprise.
And if I'm being honest, I kind of like the idea of the Makos being reinstituted during the Dominion War over DS9.
Yeah. No, I like that too. Because I always liked the concept of the Makos. My problem with the Makos was that they were kind of used as very, given the time the Enterprise was made, was very jingoistic for America. It's kind of what they were.
Yeah, yeah. So I was like, what? Oh, right. I'm trying to think.
They were very like post 9/11, like
Yeah.
military. But da.
I do still very much like the idea of the Makos, and I would love to use them more, to be completely honest. So
I think the only other time that they're like subtly there, and it's not explicitly called out, but I've always had canon that in fact, it might even been explicitly stated, but I might be wrong. But what's his name? The Crawl from Star Trek Beyond was a Mako.
I think he was stated.
Did they state it?
Yeah, they did. He was a captain.
Yeah.
They specifically stated it. I forget.
Anyways,
I forget if he was one. I'm sorry, just because we were talking about it. I forget. Either he was offered and turned it down, or he was one of the ones that were passed over. Because they talk about that, how the Makos were. Some of them were offered, some of them weren't. I forget if he was offered or not. But
anyways, yeah, I like the idea of keeping the Makos in here. That works.
Which brings me to my point. So we've got this astrobiologist. We've got. I want at least another person, but then we've got a Mako. Probably a whole Mako team here, actually, if we're being honest, because effectively. And in fact, it would be kind of cool. We don't have to add this, but back in 2, Khan and people taking over the ship could be more impressive, even if it's off camera, because they took down the whole Mako team that was on the ship. And my point is, I like the idea of making the Makos what the stormtroopers in Star Wars should have been. Actual elite, very capable, very competent, very SEAL kind of vibe going on. That's just my take on that.
Yeah, I like that. No, that works for me. And then you could have episodes where we have conflict between like Starfleet security and Makos. There's more avenues for storytelling and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, well, they could be aliens. They could be whatever. As long as they're a member of the Federation, they would qualify for Mako. They have to go through training and all that, but they can do it.
Yeah. No,
so we've got a Mako. We've got Miss Mulhall. I want a third. Any thoughts on somebody you think could?
Can we have the Mako be played by Kiefer Sutherland? I just want that for some reason.
I was hoping for a female Mako, if I'm being completely honest.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that. No, I'm not going to be my little SJW
if
Hardy
you
here.
want misgender, if you want, nothing but a male cast, then okay, I will.
Wait, how dare you? I thought you were anti SJW.
Oh, right,
how dare
right.
You want to
Sorry,
cast a woman?
why not both? A trans Kiefer Sutherland. Sutherland. Let's do that in that role.
I'd love it, but no, that works for me. Get what Linda Hamilton. There we go. Linda Hamilton's the Mako.
She would be really good at that.
Yeah,
she pulls off badass so well. It's scary. So what I'm thinking about is our third. Let's walk away from individuals. What type of role should the third be? Because we've got the biologist. She's the brain. We've got the Mako. She's the brawn. She's there to actually try and defend the team. She may even die in this mission. Although, actually, I kind of want the Mako to live because I have ideas for her in 4.
Well, all these characters in some way, since they all are there kind of in service of being people to bounce off of Spock on the planet, I kind of like them all being facets of who Spock could become. So you have the brains and then you have the brawn. So we should have someone who's kind of more emotional. So who would be sort of an emotional, I like just like a more emotional type character.
Yeah. So it has to be someone who is emotionally strongly emotional. We could have a Betazoid. There's no reason we could shove their entry into the Federation early enough for there to be a Beta Z there.
Why not Mark? Nothing happened to Marcus's mom, right?
Did we save Carol? Carol.
Yeah, no,
Carol lived.
Carol's
Why,
alive.
She was actually supposed to be in this movie, wasn't she?
Yes, she was.
I think she'd be very interested in the Genesis. I could see her actually staying or instantly.
Actually, that would actually fix the problem of not having any characters that we don't like care about on the Oberth. If we bring Carol over, it would also make sense that it's been a few weeks. She's like, I want to go check on my baby. David, you stay safe. Be with your dad. Get to meet your dad. That would actually fix that problem that I was having at the top of not having someone cared about, because it would make sense. You could even have a scene at the beginning where she's like, look, you bonded with your dad clearly during Wrath of Khan.
She says that word for word.
And so she's like, just spend some time with him, get to know him. I'm going to go back and check on the planet. David's kind of pushes it back. He's like, I want to go check on it too. This is something that I want to learn about. She's like, no, it's more important for you to get to know your father.
Yeah.
And then that could even feed into her having a bit of a guilt if we keep her on in 4, being like, oh, he might have survived if he had stayed with me and not with Kirk.
She ever come back?
No.
No,
okay.
they actually, and they
She-
wanted her to be the girl in Generations too, right?
Mhm. Yeah, she was supposed to be referenced and brought up multiple times. She was supposed to be the love interest, and it just fell through every time they tried it.
I actually really like it being Carol Marcus, like quite
I
a
do
bit, because
too.
that adds so much to this and future storylines.
Agreed. So yeah, okay. So we've got Carol Marcus, Anne Mulhall, and a Mako woman. We'll come up with a name at some point. We'll call her Sabacom.
Three women? God.
Oh God, it is.
Forced-
I didn't even think
Your
about
forced diversity, Jesus.
that. Sorry.
Your
No,
audience is going to hate it.
I absolutely hate to point this out, but if we were bringing Carol onto the Genesis planet, we have opened the opportunity to kill her via crew. Now, I don't want to do that, but I wanted to bring it up
Let's
because
just
it's an
kill
option.
Marcus. Yeah, let's just kill Marcus.
Yeah, I don't want to kill Marcus, kill his ship, kill his lover. Like that's just a little bit too much, I think.
Yeah.
Even if this was a dark work, which it totally is.
Yeah, I'd rather kill David, because that just it feeds into what eventually becomes 6 a little bit more. It gives Kirk a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder than Carol would, and I like the drama that would probably come from both Carol and Kirk kind of having issues, because like if we bring Carol into 4 or 6 or whatever 5 turns out to be, like I said, she could probably have a bit of like she has a bit of her own internalized guilt at sending David to be with Kirk, and maybe she could have saved him if he had come with her, or alternatively so there can be that, and then she could also push up against Kirk. It's like, you're the one that got David killed. How dare you? And you know.
she could blame Kirk, and
Yeah.
that would help only push for his hatred of everything Klingon.
Of the Klingons. Yeah. No, I agree completely. Also, if I might be so bold, I hate to keep talking about themes, but David being the one to die, to quite literally give his life for his father's, ties into that whole generational new versus the old thing.
Well, and
little bit
again,
too well.
the other thing too is we don't have to kill someone to take them from Kirk too.
Very true. Very true. So we've got those 3 on the planet. Now we've established that.
So they take because this is important. They take a shuttle down because there's no transporting would be like stupid, and so they take a shuttle down, and then like you were saying, the 2 ships. So what happens is the Grissom doesn't know, but there are 2 ships that are cloaked while they're doing all of this. The captain decides to. Krug decides that he wants to take the Oberth at this point, the Grissom. And so both of them decloak. One of them completely destroys the shuttle on the planet, so they can't get away. And then the other one attacks and hurts or cripples the Grissom. Now, the part on the Grissom, its weapons and shields will be down. The way you were talking, do you want them to try to board the vessel and have the Makos fighting for it? Or do you just want it to happen? Because the next piece I'll talk in a second. But did we want them to try to board?
I really like the idea of the Klingons boarding and the Makos fighting. Not only because it gets to show us a little bit of an action scene. It gets to show the Makos doing what they do best. It kind of removes the Grissom from joke status. But most importantly of all, from an overall narrative perspective, it removes more pieces from Krug's board. Remember, we're trying to bring him down in power level for the climax.
So with the Grissom basically... crippled. It doesn't have shields. It doesn't have weapons. One way or the other, Klingons would start to board the ship. The Makos would be fighting them off. The captain would be on the bridge with his crew, and he'd be sitting there. And a lot of it wouldn't make sense because from what the Federation know, whether they're right or wrong, they would just assume that Klingons don't take prisoners. And it seems really confusing. Why is he going through all of this to take the Grissom? The Grissom is a science vessel. He can easily take us. There's no significance to it. And then he stops halfway through and he says Genesis. They're here for Genesis.
In mid-sentence, too. Like he just cuts himself off.
And then he just says, he's like, there's no reason why they'd want the Genesis. And then he would look at his navigator or look at helm and say, can we get out of here? Is there anything we can do? And they say, we have a quarter impulse. We don't have warp. We can't escape. And at that point, he'd be looking between them and trying to figure out which ship had more information or would have more people or would know more about Genesis. Would choose a target and then ram the Grissom into that specific ship, destroying it, leaving only one Klingon warbird left and half crewed because they had sent over their stuff. So he has one ship that it isn't even fully crewed at this point.
Mm-hmm. And it should be the bird, the Burrell, because that just perfectly sets up the 4.
Yeah,
that was always a perfect puzzle piece. I don't want to mess with that.
And then He fires a lawn chair out, and
it does nothing because this isn't the joke verse. All right, so no, the joke verse is up here. That's where the joke verse is.
Did you see that, Jesse? Out of curiosity, you've been busy. I did a video with Oberth versus a lawn chair, and the lawn.
Oh,
chair
you told me about that, and I laughed my butt off just at the very concept of it.
But anyway, so yeah, he hits and destroys. The Grissom's destroyed, as is the other vessel. And then, I mean, we can even have him. One thing we could do if we wanted Krug to kill the tactical officer, we still wanted that to happen. When the Grissom starts going, Krug realizes what's going on too late, and he tells him to fire on the Grissom, and either the tactical misses, the tactical hits, and it doesn't destroy it, or the tactical pauses because there's already Klingons on there. He didn't want to destroy his own warriors, and then the Grissom destroys it, and he can kill the guy still.
So we still have Krug being a villain.
Yeah.
We don't have to, but we could still have that.
Yeah, that part really didn't. It really didn't make him seem as a villain as much as the other guy, just a straight man. Because the other guy was like, "Yep," it didn't even faze him.
It's such a weird. That movie was.
It's another day in the life for that guy.
Yep, got it.
Like,
Boss is killing people like you do. But yeah, no, I very much enjoy the idea of the Oberth being able to fight back. I also think the ship that the Oberth rams is the big one. Like, for whatever reason, Krug is on the Bird, and in fact, we could come up with plenty of reasons for that. But the actual larger vessel, either D6 or D7 or whatever, is the one the Oberth rams and takes out.
Right.
Which also means he just lost a whole lot of people who are supporting him in his in his political endeavors against Gorkin, which I just keep pointing out because I don't want you to forget about it.
Yep.
This leads, or do you want to take the next one, Reloaded?
No, it's you.
This leads to, do we already do the escape scene? We didn't. So, okay, so that big confrontation happens. God, we spent a while on there. Oh, right, because we got slightly derailed.
We got sidetracked by the best part. I love it.
Oh, my God.
I love it. I'm trying not to think about it. I could make myself laugh with that if I just sit there and thought about it.
Oh, my God.
Because it's so stupid.
So, meanwhile, Act 2
Picard
begins.
comes down, and we have Geordi in the background as he's saying it. Geordi in the background as he's saying, "My black friend," and then you got Geordi back there, and he's like, "What the hell is going on?"
Well, someone in Lore's chat said it perfectly. I mean, Geordi doesn't see color, so
there you go. So it doesn't
literally
make sense.
Yeah.
I guess that's true, yeah. I didn't even think about that, yeah. Oh, my
So
God.
Geordi's
All right.
like, "Wait a second, what are you talking about?" All I see is anger emanating from these people because I assume they're humans. And you
Wow.
can see that. All I see is mass anger. What is
That's
this?
the most racist thing that was said here.
Now, how's that racist? Wouldn't they be
Angry
pissed
black
off?
man? Angry black man?
Oh, okay. You're right.
Yeah.
Of the two things right there, that's what it is.
All right. Anyways, now that there's an
What
awkward
is-
silence after that bit.
It's like, hey, Laura, why'd your Twitch just shut down?
I don't know, it's weird.
That's the weirdest thing. And then zoom, you just
Yeah,
disconnect.
it's just off. They can do that. If they ban you, they can ban you
Oh
from the
no,
stream.
I wasn't talking. I was saying you did it, not them.
Oh, gotcha. That's just
Yeah.
That's happened.
No, there's been much worse thing. Anyway, let's continue on.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not saying they're going to ban me over that. I'm
let's-
just saying when they ban, they do it.
Yeah, the only this is a sidetrack. Yeah, okay, that's fine. You side. Go then, sir.
I didn't say anything.
No, runner side. I was about to say something. He's like,
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead and say it.
"No, I'm good."
I don't know why you put up with this. I'm so sorry.
I was going to talk about another streamer. They actually did something that was really weird with him, where they sent him an email that he said he had 30 days to
Dr.
shut
Oh,
his-
yeah.
or whatever.
No, it wasn't. It was Dr. Disrespect. It was actually a different one. They sent him an email saying, "Hey, we're shutting all your stuff down." I mean, usually they just ban, but on this one they were like, "No, they did it through legal and stuff."
Yeah, it was very strange. That whole thing. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Act 2 begins. And at the beginning of Act 2 is the escape. Act 2 is them deciding to flee. But here's the catch. Remember, so one of the biggest problems, if I could just rant for just a second, about Star Trek 3 is that the plot makes no damn sense. Because they have to go and they have to rescue Spock, who's actually right over there. He's in McCoy in every way that matters. They don't know about the body. They don't know about what's going on Genesis. They just know that they need to go get it because it might help. If it's still there, maybe. And it's just, we gotta go, and we're not willing to, and it's a locked off planet to Kirk, who's an admiral who already has security access to Genesis, as established in the last movie. None of it made sense, right? So throw all that out the window. What we're going to do instead is they're gathering together. They're having a bit of a wake for, lost friends. Spock, Uhura, Zahn, they Decker. All of them would be mentioned here, all the big ones. And it is Zahn, right? I said it right?
Yeah, sure.
I had trouble. I was looking up how to spell it. It is XON. I did find it eventually.
Yeah, it's XON.
But it was so hard to find information on him because he never made it.
A book I would recommend to you if you're curious about him is what's that?
Metacause.
I recommend this book to you. It gives a lot of good information on him.
I don't think I own that one. I need to pick that one up.
Anymore.
Well, I was just talking about how awesome and incredible Jesse is. So no, I don't think I own that book. I need to add that one.
It's a great. It's goes through literally everything, and it's got all the. It has the original script for what the pilot would have been, what became the motion picture, the original version of the child script, and then story treatments for all 13 episodes that eventually,
including the child.
Yeah, including the child. Yeah, and Devil's Due actually was a
Devil's Due. Yeah. So, anyways, I'm sorry. So all of them are there, and they're talking about those that they have lost, and they're actually holding this wake in Chekhov's recovery room so that Chekhov can also be a part of it. While they're there, Chekhov just hits a little bit of a thing, and you just see a couple lights turn off in the background, like little lights. I don't mean like overhead lights. Just some equipment turns off, and he sits there for a minute. And he says, "I have news," and they're like, "What? I've got word." And Spock's alive, and everyone is just, "What? Spock is alive." This is not something you heard from me. This is not something that you're aware of. But Spock is currently alive and well, and is back on the Genesis planet. And they're like, "Well, that's great. The Federation." I don't think the Federation is currently aware of that. And if they are, they're probably going to take a while to do anything about it, given the Klingons. What Klingon situation? And basically, Chekhov ends up just kind of informing them of stuff that's going on, because Chekhov, for reasons that will become apparent, please trust my writing strategy here, guys. Chekhov is aware of quite a few things of what's going on here, and he shares several of these with the party, with the crew. Now, they have a discussion here during the absent friends moment, and as they're discussing, they're mostly kind of on the fence, right? What do we do about this? Sulu is a strong advocate for the idea that we need to go get a ship and go out there and do this properly, right? And Kirk is more an advocate of, I need to get my frickin' friend back right now, right? And there's not really a strong thing until Savik gets involved. And Savik is the one who finally pushes. We already talked about this, Jesse. I know we mentioned this. Savik is the one who finally says it is against regulations to try and get out there right now, but given the volatile situation, especially with the Klingons, it is logical that we go ahead and get out there right now to save him. And the whole point here is that Savik is wrong, basically. I mean, you could argue whether she's correct or incorrect in the long-term perspective, but she is so personally motivated to go get Spock back and is so charged up about this whole situation that she wants to get over there and deal with this now, right? So they debate this back and forth and debate how they're going to do this. And there would need to be an effort to get the Excelsior to go, and there would need to be a reason the Excelsior doesn't. The best example I could come up with, and because this just makes sense to me, is because it's not ready. The Excelsior is not quite ready to go, either because it needs to get additional orders or because they need to clear things through proper channels, and it's going to take time, and they don't want to take that time, right? Sulu is very against this whole idea and is the one who finally just pieces out and says, no, I'm not going to be a part of this. And Sulu leaves to go through the official channels and get that process started so it can get over with as quickly as possible. This then leads to the escape sequence, and they run around and they start doing their things and trying to evacuate and at the Enterprise and then get it just functional enough to have warp drive with a minimal crew in order to get out there, in order to get it. Because by the way, for this to work, the Enterprise has to be the only ship here. I know that's stupid, but it's okay because it would make a little bit of sense if the Enterprise is the only ship on the Stardock. not the only ship in Earth range, because that's retarded, if you'll forgive me. I don't actually, that's just the dumbest freaking thing. Anyways, I'm sorry. I shouldn't say that. I apologize. Point being, the escape sequence happens. No real change is there. And the person who is specifically in charge of trying to stop them is Sulu on the Excelsior. Now, the Excelsior is already not super ready to go, as we've already talked about. And Sulu, he, you remember that teacup in Star Trek 6? I of course, don't have anything really equivalent, so we'll just have to make do with, we'll use this. So he's got the teacup. That would work, Shark. Although maybe it wouldn't work. Anyways, he's got the teacup, and they're like, oh, "Sir, the Enterprise is moving out." And Sulu just kind of looks up, like, "Huh." Takes a sip. Sir, are we going to go after them? Let's check in with Starfleet Command. Let's see what their orders are. Some time happens. Some time passes. The whole time the Enterprise is just like struggling to get out of the frickin' Star Trek. It's just not doing great, right? And they're trying to pilot this thing without any of the support staff. And finally, we have confirmation. We are ordered to stop the Enterprise and its escape vector as quickly as possible. Very well. Engage thrusters. Takes another sip. Helmsman looks at him. Thrusters? Yes, it is within regulations to only use thrusters within range of Earth's space dock.
Safety first, Helmsman.
Safety first, Helmsman. Yeah. And they're just, okay. And so the Excelsior like creeps after the Enterprise at the speed of slow. Inches its way up there. And so the Enterprise escapes, manages to get out there. The Excelsior.
Well, there's one point to that I think that we should add, though, that would be interesting. Again, Sulu does all this, but we still have that moment where, because ultimately Sulu was against it, but he's not going to stop him or anything, so that's just made obvious. But the last thing, we still have that one piece where he comes on, like, so the ship is, the Enterprise is about to go to warp, and the Excelsior is just in no capacity to catch them based on what Sulu's done. But right before it goes to warp, he opens up a communication, and he actually says the same thing. And Sulu's the one to say it. He says, "Admiral, if you do this, you're never going to sit in that chair again."
And it's not a threat. That's important. This is
a
friend.
Yeah, he's saying it as a friend to him. Kirk knows that Sulu's letting them go because they could have stopped him at almost any point.
Effortlessly.
And but he's just talking to him as a friend, and you can tell through both the acting of both. Sulu's just like, if you do this, you're never going to be allowed to be a captain again. And then he just goes on.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. That needs to be there because the whole point is, while Sulu is not part of the main party, he kind of still is. He is still loyal. He is still a friend. He is still connected to them, and he is still part of the overall adventure.
It's a Cisco moment too, I think. Like, remember when O'Brien was trying to help him escape? I think it was that one where O'Brien's trying.
Odo was helping, or not? Sorry, O'Brien was helping the Dominion dude.
He's helping. Yeah, he's helping an alien or the Dominion dude or he was helping somebody, and Odo was like, he's trying to get away, and Cisco was like, okay,
go get him. Slower,
but take
your time.
Take your time.
And Odo's like looking for confirmation. Like, is this slow enough?
He just casually gets on the turbo lift and just leans down.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's basically that moment where
we're getting our comedy in our Star Trek.
We got to have some comedy there. All right, so that
now Star Trek must be serious at all times.
At all times. I like serious Trek, but I like humorous Trek as well.
Oh, humorous Trek is great.
The hell do I know? I mean, Piece of the Action is actually one of my favorite TOS episodes. I'm not even ashamed of that one.
Yeah, we want the Federation wants the cut. Anyways,
it helps that Shatner's actually a better comedy actor than he is a drama actor.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that with sincerity. He really is. But
yeah, no, he's very funny. I mean, he's freaking great in Boston Legal.
I was about to point out the Boston comedy character.
Denny Crane.
Yeah, Denny Crane. Sorry. Quick aside. Boston Legal is one of my favorite, most underappreciated shows of all time.
I was actually binging the Practice because I remember watching it as a kid and I never watched it all the way through. So I was watching through and I finally got to that where because that's where it was introduced was him and Alan Shore. That's actually that it was kind of like a sideways pilot or whatever. And it's like every time he walks into a room, Denny Crane.
Yeah.
So he introduced
My
him.
favorite was when they brought in Freddie Prinze Jr. as his kid, and they have the. Oh, it's great. He plays Donnie Crane, his child. So there's literally a scene where he goes, Denny Crane, Donnie Crane, Denny Crane, Donnie. They go for like 2 whole minutes, and it's wonderful.
Wow.
Anyways,
Awesome. Yeah, it is a good show. If you haven't seen Boston Legal, you should. This cuts us in. So that's most of the second act. The second act still bleeds over a little because we have to set up for the third act.
I mean, this is basically Star Trek Adventures. It took us an hour and a half to get.
We're getting there. We're getting there. So
it mirrors watching The Search for Spock. It takes way too long to get anywhere.
That is a very true point. The Krug over on his bird is just, oh my God, all this crap. I've lost my ship. I've lost my supporters. I've lost the Oberth. Sir, I'm picking up life forms on the planet. What? And this leads him to sending down the shuttle in order to grab the quartet that we have down there and pulls them on board the ship. That's like, aha, okay, now you're going to tell me everything. This is when the Enterprise shows up. And he looks at the Enterprise like, what is this nonsense? Like, I know that's the Enterprise. I can see the writing on the hull, but I mean, he can also see the holes through the hull.
Do they still get the messages? Because we were talking about that.
I was actually debating that because I was thinking about that when I was telling her about the quick recap, and I think we could just eject that because I feel like that's a step too far for them. Just my opinion.
And it could still. Well, I mean, like you said, it shows up and it just gets there and that's it. It just.
And yeah, the Enterprise is just. My point is, it would be really obvious that the Enterprise is basically a Hulk right now, and by Hulk I mean like a
shadow of its former self.
Yeah, a husk.
A husk, I guess, is a better word. The term is actually Hulk. I was just checking my memory. That is actually the term.
No, you're right. It's just been sort of co-opted because Marvel.
Yeah. Anyways, whatever.
Becoming it's kind of like they've just become the opposite of what it actually means.
Yeah. So there's a husk. He tells it's a husk, and this is important because the whole point is that he is going to walk up. He's not even in a cloak. He's going to go full in bluster. He's a Klingon after all. So, I see you've decided to send your garbage cows after me. And Scotty has a moment of.
Then we do see the Hulk.
And the Hulk's like, no. And so he's
a
all,
data moment, jumps through.
All bragger.
Sorry, we've taken too long. I'm not going to.
We have a back and forth. The whole important point is that he has his hostages. Kirk has the data. Kirk manages to talk through him. This is actually this needs to line up in a specific way, because Kirk needs to gain an advantage over Krug, because Krug, even under these circumstances, having lost so much, is still able to effortlessly deploy the Enterprise. So he points out to Krug, we have information on Genesis still on the Enterprise. This is one of the ships that was cleared for that, and this is true. That was in too. And so Krug is like, oh, excellent. I'll just take my men over and we'll take it. And then he's like, oh, yeah, sure. You could just bring your men over. I'm sure any individual Klingon would love to have all of that Genesis information they could take back to the High Council. And Krug's like, and he looks around at his men. And there would be a moment where some of the Klingons on the bridge would just kind of give him a glance like, And so Krug's like, new idea. I'll come over by myself with a hostage. And so he grabs, in this circumstance, I think Carol would probably work best, considering we've restructured that.
Oh, yeah, because Marcus is already on the ship.
Because Marcus, remember, is already on the Enterprise as of this moment in time.
Yeah.
So so he comes over with Carol as a hostage. And what is effectively going to happen here is what I keep referring to as the final battle. I know, video game term, but the idea is that the crew, so we've got Marcus, Scotty, Savik.
Weren't we going to send Savik over to the ship?
We were. I'm debating how to shift that over because I really do like the idea of her being over there and helping with the thing.
I mean, we could tech it. What happens is that Scotty keeps them busy so that Savik can be beamed over, so that Scotty can beam it over and make it look like it's radiation or something like that, and then Savik's able to help release the rest, like the other Mako or whatever, and then they can go crazy. They can go berserk on the ship.
I could see, I kind of like that. So we'll do that. So that's what Savik's doing during the final battle. She is going over to link up with the Mako and Spock.
And they tech it somehow where they can get both transporter pads linked up so that we don't have to she's part of the 30% that survives or whatever. It's just they're able to.
Or we could just have her take a shuttle over and dock.
Shuttle would be harder to hide, though.
Shuttle would be very hard to hide. That's why I'm unhesitant.
Well, the only other piece they could do is she could just be one of the ones that survives. She could be like, we need someone over there. We need someone to do it. Go ahead and beam me over. He's like, well, you're not going to have a transporter thing, but she's like, well, if I die, you're no worse off, and if I make it, there's a huge advantage that they're unaware of.
That's true, and you know what? I think our Savik especially, would be willing to do something that insane,
right?
For the sake of trying to fix this situation and rescue Spock and save the crew. So yeah, okay. So she'll go ahead,
and we can even make the transporter do 30 seconds longer than it usually does, just to continue to draw that out, kind of like they did in Discovery Episode 2 with the screen. The view screen took like 50 seconds to activate. I'm not going to give anything away, but it was quite obviously drawing out tension. And that's what I'm saying. We could draw out the tension.
So we're not going to do that. No, if we're going to draw out tension, what we're going to do is we're going to have her beam over, and then we're going to have the action follow the Enterprise and Krug for a while. And so the audience won't actually know that she does survive. Spoiler.
My only question throughout all of this, sorry, I'm just a little off track, but I'm wondering if we're forgetting something. Like, are we doing anything with Spock at all besides him just
not really? Spock is going to be a lot more relevant in 4 than in 3.
Of course, yeah.
Did they do anything with Spock either?
No,
they did the Pon-farr thing. My only point being is I just we can talk about it when we're done with this, but I just was worried that like I feel like there's some character stuff we can do there a little bit with the setup of like the 3 different sides of Spock, the like, you know, emotion, the brain, and then the brawn.
So what I actually agree with you completely on that. And what I would do is really minor stuff, probably only 2 scenes total and probably within the minute to 90-second range each. But the whole point is to show that Spock isn't actually right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not quite there, which is important for 2 big reasons. Also he has cybernetics. That's important. Like
that was something we missed. Yeah, the first time you see him, he has
there's just there's chunks of metal here and there. We'd have to come up with specific design, but he is clearly partially cybernetic now, very minorly, not huge. He's not a full Borg or anything like that, but you could see some cybernetic implants in him. Anyways, so Savik beams over, Krug comes over during the swap. Krug then manages to. The whole point here. And this is funny because GEFCCC, I know how to pronounce that, in my chat pointed this out. The whole point is that Krug is winning. Even now, even under these circumstances, Krug is still in a position to win and to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. He needs to effectively win the final battle on the Enterprise, such that Scotty decides to go ahead and start absolutely mass sabotaging things. So even though the self-destruct has now been hit and the ship is now self-destructing, it is also blowing up internally here and there as it is self-destructing. You know, it is Metroiding, to put it simply. Scotty gets off and the ship. He flees, and that leaves Marcus. So Kirk would send him off. Is generally the idea, probably against his will. That leaves only 4 people left on the ship: Carol, Marcus, Kirk, and Krug. And Krug's winning because Krug could take on all 3 of those without even trying, right?
Breaking sweat, yeah.
Yeah, it's easy. The point is, and we'd have to go through the very specific notions because it would come down to the specific blocking and the choreography to make this work and not be stupid. But the idea is what ends up happening is Marcus deliberately gets himself killed and in so doing effectively disarms Krug. He doesn't die instantly. The point is, the stab through the chest kind of an idea. And in so doing, he manages to grab Krug's arm and shove him against a wall or shove him down to the ground or something, which effectively removes Krug from combat. And he does this immediately after shoving his mother and father into an escape pod. The escape pod then ejects, and the 2 of them get away to safety. And Krug cannot also similarly escape or otherwise do anything about it to go after them because he is being held in place by Marcus somehow. Probably something engineering-wise, like he's got a beam that he's got jammed into something. He's just holding it there while he's bleeding out, while he's dying.
One of those rocks that they build starships out of.
Yeah, there's just it's there on his face.
Yeah, or maybe he hits something and an emergency door hits them both, and pins them both against the wall or
I
something
can
like
see.
that.
Yeah, because I like the idea of him using his head to
Right.
come up with some way to overcome Krug, because
And
Krug's just going to wreck him otherwise.
Well, yeah, and the only way that they're going to win is if one of them sacrifices. They can't fight and still live. Someone has to suicide in order to stop him.
Yeah.
And so, and maybe they even have a moment where they realize that, like they're trying to get to the escape pod, they can't, and it's like we can't. There's nothing we can do. We can't. There's no way we can defeat him and get away. Like have Kirk or the mom say that, and Marcus just pauses for a second. He says, "You're right. There's no way that we can fight him and all of us get away." And it's just a brief moment, and then that comes back. When he hits it and he closes it on him. I like him. I'd like him having something to, like some cocky, I know it's cliche or whatever, but when he hits it and they both slammed against it, just something cocky to say to Krug too, as like I beat you, or can you believe that you were taken out by a human, or something like that. Just something cocky too to say.
Fuck you.
Yeah, that's what he says.
Totally. That's totally what we're going
That's
with.
it.
We're going the what is it? The DC Apocalypse War way. That's
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw that, but that's how they killed off most all of the. Well, okay. Spoilers for that in 3, 2, 1. They kill off most all of the main characters, all of the heroes and stuff, and the who is it? It's Cyborg. He saves them, and he can't. He's gonna die too, and he's like, so I guess I get the last word. And he's like, "F you" or "eat s" or "suck it" or something like that, and then just everything's destroyed.
To be fair, it's a very good movie. I actually really like that.
It actually turned me. I know. I'm sorry. I know we got to go because we're doing. But I actually, it turned me on to the movies. I didn't even like that entire section of movies. I wasn't.
Oh, I
really
hated
into it.
that DC animated movie.
It turned me on to him. Apocalypse War turned me on to it. But anyway, I'm sorry. Let's. But anyway, yeah. So Marcus has that point, and then
Von Falkenstein points out something I really like, and I want to add in. I want the idea to be that Kirk, it points out the situation because Kirk is about to do that, to do what Marcus does. Kirk is about to lay down his life to save his wife, his lover and child.
Yeah, very Kirk thing to do.
Yeah. And then Marcus is the one who basically gets in the way and does it for him and shoves him away.
that could be his last thing. He could be like, "I knew there was always some of you in me," and then he hits it, and then that's
shove, and then the escape pod goes out.
I also like, it doesn't need to be as on the nose as this, but I like they like having a moment with their hands on the glass. It doesn't have to be this like Kirk and Spock, but just a sort of repetition of that theme of like hands on glass.
I mean, I think
Well, it's funny you bring that up because what I was going to do is I did Savacom in Discord, please. As the escape pod is going out, I was going to have Kirk, and this is so important because Kirk needs to be absolutely just devastated by what he is watching. And I was going to do the same thing. Like he puts his hand on the glass, and what we're seeing, the camera would be like right here. We wouldn't be seeing Kirk's face. We'd be seeing what he is seeing as the Enterprise slowly goes away, and then the Enterprise is destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And Kirk would have to physically shake the moment the detonation happens. Just he actually physically hits him. Just watching that.
Kind of like what they do in Star Trek Beyond, just better.
Yeah, same concept. Yeah. So the whole now. Right before this, actually, would be when we revealed that Savik lives, and she's on the Klingon ship, and she and the Mako and are just wrecking face. Actually, I don't have much to say about her specifically. The point is that Savik is a total badass, and she also gets substantially injured in this process, such that she has a visible gash, which will be a scar later on. That's important.
And they almost make it too. I think they
almost make it.
They're just barely defeated. They take out a lot of the crew. They get up there, and then just a luck of the draw, something goes wrong right at the very end, and they end up. The way I'd like it is they end up on the bridge, subdued on the bridge, and they're watching what's happening.
Agreed.
Because that's going to come. That's going to come in later, and it's going to come into.
Which, of course, so one of the things they do here, and this was Reloaded's idea, is they actually sabotage the weapons on the bird so that the bird can't actually get involved in a fight. They get subdued on the bridge, and the captain's running around dealing with this. So that all happened before the Krug encounter. Krug encounter happens. Then we cut back to the bridge. They've restored weapons, and we've got weapons back. Excellent. And he's just looking up at the devastation of the Enterprise, like. And then sir, we're detecting one escape pod, and he doesn't. The commander doesn't even say anything. He just looks at it, and ready weapons. And Savik would have to have a line. This would be important for 6, where she mentions you can't execute him. He's a defenseless prisoner. He's a disarmed non-combatant. And so the Klingon ship comes around, weapons power up. You see the red glow, and the shot comes out, probably a torpedo, because that will work best for what's about to happen. Because then the Excelsior comes in, and the torpedo actually hits the Excelsior, literally interrupts the shot.
The Excelsior and
and there's also a Katinga here, a Klingon capital ship, which for those of you not aware, which is here on behalf of the joint Klingon Federation endeavor to stop these rogue, illegal, and Sulu would say this, by the way, Sulu would be present, and he would actually say this on the com. This is an illegal adventure that has been condoned by both the Klingon Empire and the Federation. We are here to stop this with all due force. You will pull down and surrender immediately to the justice. Blah 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 blah. And so Sulu actually comes in and effectively saves the day, saves Kirk, saves Carol, and saves the rest of them as well, having done things the legitimate manner. I would love it if people would debate for years who was right, Sulu or Kirk.
right.
Because if they had delayed, they might not have accomplished what they did. But at the same time, it's also entirely possible they could have just shown up and won if they just waited for Sulu. Either way, no, the Klingon ambassador will be over on the Katinga. He will be there. He'll be present. Very irritable, but very present. This leads to, and the denouement is pretty simple at this point, because the denouement is, all right, they pull them back. Everyone's somber and grief-stricken. Spock is still clearly not right. The Klingon so they come into a problem where they want to go to Vulcan specifically to get Spock checked out because he's just not right in the head, right? They don't want to take the Excelsior because that would effectively mean they're all under arrest. So what happens is they make a deal with the ambassador that Krug's bird, they can just kind of take that. And they can just take that ship and go to Vulcan with it.
Here's my thought behind that to a degree. I think that there could be a conversation that happens beforehand between like Kirk, Sulu, and the ambassador, and he seems a little stricken because he says, he says it's unfortunate that we found something like this. It's unfortunate that we found the Klingon bird, the bird of prey, still together, not destroyed. And Sulu and Kirk would be like, why? And he says, well, that bird belongs to House Ota or whoever. Dagor. And bringing it...
Sorry.
And at this point, it's now the property of the Klingon Imperial Army and under Gorkon's house. And, of course, Gorkon, at this point, can't, due to honor, give it back. And so that might mean civil unrest when we're at this critical juncture. And then maybe Kirk or Sulu comes up and says... what if it didn't survive? And then so that way the Klingons, they're like, okay, you're right. You know what? Last I saw, it was completely destroyed.
Yep,
and then
it's
now,
lost in action, just like the other one.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, and they could have that joke that we had beforehand. It's like, I didn't see a Klingon bird of prey. Last I heard, that thing was destroyed. And then they look to Sulu, and Sulu's like, yeah, it was nothing but debris and the survivors. Mm-hmm. And then they look to the ambassador, and they just kind of keep it under wraps. And the ambassador, who I like the idea the ambassador prompts this because he was already thinking this direction. Mm-hmm. So he was basically giving them this, like, if only that ship was destroyed. Not only would that hinder peace with the Federation, the peace talks with the Federation, not only would it help peace talks with the Federation. That way they get the ship. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but and then that's we're all wrapped up. So they take the bird now. And Sulu, I started saying this, I don't remember if I finished saying it, but the point is Sulu kind of lets them go because we know that they're going to turn themselves in later. It's just right now they want to check off Spock right now. So they are going to go check him out and make sure he's okay. Then they'll go turn themselves in. I mean, that is the beginning of 4, and we're not changing that. Them coming back to Earth to turn themselves in. 2 important things. First of all, Chekhov came on the Excelsior. Oh, yeah. That's important. And he's doing okay. He will also go to the bird, the HMS Bounty, I think is what they called it, in order to go to Vulcan with them. We need to decide what we're doing with Carol, because we could bring Carol into 4, but we don't have to.
If I recall,
I'd say keep her off. I can't see her being like, man, I want to go on another adventure. She'd probably want to mourn her son.
yeah, and it also would like ruin. I mean, not that we have to keep it, but there's that pseudo romance in 4 with Kirk and the.
I totally want to eject the hell out of that, by the way. I'll just be completely honest.
Just make her Eddie Murphy.
Not to be anti-romance, it's just I really like the idea of Kirk actually having connected with someone for real. And so he's moved past the point of flirting around, and now he wants.
Well, you could keep. I also like that movie. I this gets into that movie a little bit, but I also like that being sort of platonic relationship. Anyways, with like Kirk has a platonic relationship and friendship with a girl instead of having to romance her.
Yeah. No, I'm totally down with that. And frankly, I think we could have used her and the whale biologist and things after this too.
Well, I mean, it can be that point. She can be like, I don't want to do an adventure. I just need to get over this. And then there's a pause, and she looks to Kirk and she says, I'll see you when you get back to Earth, or I'll be there.
I'll be at your trial.
Yeah, and that's what happens, because Kirk's like, well, she's like, I go back, and Kirk says, well, I'll be returning back and for my trial as well. And then there's just a pause, and she says, I'll be there, kind of a supportive thing. And then we can build on that, or we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, it ends like they support each other, but if we want to, we could like later on it be like she has resentment against him.
Yeah, it leaves it open.
Whatever arc. Yeah,
it leaves it open for however we want to go.
As an aside, real quick, Salder says Carol's a refugee. Shouldn't Sulu arrest her? First of all, she's not a refugee. Second of all, she wasn't part of any of this. She was part of the Grissom crew. The only thing she's guilty of is being kidnapped by crew.
The other thing too.
Why are we arresting refugees? Anyway.
What we could do with this again. This gets into 4 a little bit, but just to toss it out there so we have it in our minds. What we could do is we could have her give testimony at his trial. So you know how 4 starts off. There's already the ambassador kind of railing against the Klingon ambassador railing against Kirk at the beginning of that. We could have her give testimony, and then she's part of the when the whale probe or whatever we eventually have comes down. It just adds more stakes to it because there's a character we care about there.
Yeah. So real quick, thank you for reminding me that, Jeff 300. We also need to decide where. So I already mentioned I kind of like the idea of the Mako going over into 4, the Mako character. What I'm not sure about is Anne Mulhall, Diana Muldaur's character.
I don't want to bring. We're already going to be dealing with a lot of characters in 4. I think she should go. I think it was a good romp for her, and if we want to use her in a future one, I like taking the Mako. But I mean, in the next movie, we're going to have Spock, we're going to have Chekhov, we're going to have Kirk, we're going to have Sulu, we're going to have the Mako, and Kirk. Scotty. So we already got 7 characters. We have to, because we're not OG.
Also the biologist.
Oh yeah, the biologists. We're not OG Trek writers. We actually want to give them something to do and have meaning in the movie. So we're already dealing with 8 characters we got to deal with. Adding one more is just going to add frustration to the mix, unless we want to kill her off.
No, I wouldn't kill her off.
No. And we'd just be killing her off to killing her off, because we just don't want to. We just want to.
Yeah. We don't have to bring the Mako forward. In fact, we can decide that in 4 next week. But it's just an idea. Let's shelve that for now, because whether she comes along or not is literally just a choice that we can make.
Yeah, I think it depends on if there's anything we could have that's useful for her to do in 4. If we find a way to make her useful in 4, then great. If not,
I do have an idea there. I just don't want to talk too much about 4 right now.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. We since we don't know, we vague it in. We vague it out. So we have the agreement on what's going to happen and that they do need to return. And then we just show the Excelsior going one way, the Katinga going another, and then the Bird of Prey going its own way. But we never show who goes on it. And then we can just decide.
We could be super vague and we can decide next time.
We vague the hell out of it, and we'll bring whoever we want on.
And if we do keep her, the justification for 4 could be that she's just I'm here just to make, we know you're going to turn yourself in, but I'm here to ensure that happens.
Ironically, I was going to go the direction that she went along because she bonded in her brief time with Spock.
I mean, that too, that could be the emotional character reason, but the bureaucracy Starfleet reason is I'm just here to make sure that the ship gets. Also,
so Van Falkenstein, wait, Sula's not there. You're absolutely right. Sula's on the Excelsior. Sulu is not going to be in 4 proper.
Yeah.
Sulu's going to be in the Earth thing along with Carol, basically dealing with whatever we do with the probe.
Yeah.
That'll be Sulu's job. He will not be in the past.
Which is what George Takei wanted, anyways. Takei, I never can.
Did he not want to be in the?
He said,
he just wanted to be captain earlier.
Oh.
yeah, there was something
It's
he
not-
pushed for a lot.
Yeah, luckily we don't have to deal with Shatner's ego either. We can actually
No,
do
we
something
don't.
good. He can actually be there to save people. And
Holy crap.
because I'm pretty sure Shatner would not have liked the ending that we have.
Oh, he would hate it. Absolutely.
But yeah,
But that's it. That's 3.
yep. And I'll have a sum up of 2 because I realized I didn't do that. Oh man, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I was waiting for that because I was going to.
I was actually
That's what I was
curious.
missing.
gonna
That's what I
link it,
missed.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the sum up of 2 and then the sum up of 3, and then next week we're gonna be doing 4. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Assuming we're on track, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we should be. And, of course, I'll be watching it on twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded at some point, so definitely stay there. If you guys like this, go to lorerunner.com. He does some really fun stuff, including movies, games, all kinds of stuff. He actually played a really fun game that I bought because of his lore run, or his run-through. Even though I can't remember the name of it, it's still a really fun game. Crosscode. Yeah, man, I love that concept.
Haven't heard of it.
Oh, you should take a look at it. It's really fun. It's kind of
a very well-made game.
It's a meta game too. So you're playing a character that's in an MMO. So you're playing a player playing a character in an MMO. It's really interesting. I'm about 10 minutes into the game or whatever. It already has some interesting concepts. I mean, there's nothing there. I know it's not even gotten in the story at all, but it's really interesting concepts. And then, of course, check out Jesse Gender, some of the most fun that you've ever seen. Political, left, partisan, best channel out there.
But not socialist.
Bringer of Philly cheesesteaks, and I hear Santa Claus is going to be on her thing. I'll say this live real quick, and then we'll get off because I know Runner's like, oh my god, we're like 3 hours. What's funny is I did something, the Santa for you, that whatever. Mm-hmm. I actually did it in a conference room. No one is ever there on the weekdays, right? So I rent office space, and there's a studio there and everything. But I wanted to do it in the office because I couldn't. There was just something weird going on with studio, and no one's ever there. But by God, when I get into that conference room, I move everything to one side. I put a green screen in front of the door. Darned if there aren't 5 people that walk in and all of a sudden have business to do on a Sunday. I don't even know how that works. Anyway, and I'm dressed head to toe in a Santa Claus outfit. And apparently the top head looks horrible. I didn't notice that. Hat fell off. Didn't notice that till after. Oh, yeah. And by the way, just so you know, I bought the one outfit made for a skinny Santa Claus. Why are you going to make an outfit for Santa Claus and have it skinny? I don't even know. But let me tell you that suit was made for a skinny Santa Claus. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to rate.
It's great. I'm very looking forward to this. So
don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one. Going to end it on my side.